Money has the potential for doing a lot of good in this world. And it also can become a tyrannical master that can destroy our lives. So Jesus speaks about money today in our gospel reading. And he really never in his life tried to accumulate wealth. He never did. And after he began his public ministry, he said once, "The Son of Man has no place to lay his head." So he lived a life that was really dependent upon God, on the providence of God, and also on the generosity of others. And he had some wealthy friends, Joseph of Arimathea, Nicodemus, even Zacchaeus, the tax collector, was a wealthy man. And so he had friends who had a lot of money. So Jesus never condemns people because they are wealthy. He never does that. But he does call money tainted because he knew that it can get out of hand in our lives. It can take on importance that it really doesn't have. And it can blind us really to the true spiritual values of life if we let it. In our gospel today, Jesus says, make friends with tainted money so that they will welcome you into the eternal tents of heaven. Now here he really presumes that we are all stewards, that God is the master of everything, the owner of everything because he created everything. And he has made us his stewards to handle the good things of this life that he has created. And there will be an accounting, he says. Just as with the unjust steward in the gospel, there was an accounting where he lost his job. There will be an accounting for each of us also on how we have used our goods, how we have been good or bad stewards in this world, in this life. So he says, make friends with money so you will find the eternal tents of heaven. Here he's speaking about part of our stewardship of money and the material things of life is that you and I are called to remember the poor especially. We are called, each of us in our lives, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to reach out to the suffering of this world, to give, not only to receive. And so that's how we make friends that will welcome us in the tents of heaven. Now he uses the example of this steward who calls his master's debtors to an accounting. And he reduces the amount that each debtor owed his master. Now, as we look on it, on the face of it, we would say, well, he's stealing from his master, reducing the debt that others have toward him. But in antiquity, this is the way it worked. The steward was not paid by his master. Rather, when he collected the interest on what his master had invested, then he took a percentage of that interest for himself. And so in this case, he just does not receive it. He lets the debtor have it so that the debtor will welcome him when he knows he's going to lose his job. So We are to be good stewards, recognizing that God is our master and that He wants us to share what we have with the poor. Amos condemns in our first reading, as most of the prophets do, those who are wealthy, who take advantage of the poor, those who exploit the poor in one way or another. And in our modern life, that happens a lot in very different ways. Jesus also reminds us that if we have a lot of wealth, then we can turn to greed. And greed is something that is insatiable. You feed it a little bit, it wants more and more. It's never satisfied. And if someone has a lot of money, it can also dull them to the needs of the poor around them. There are always many examples of that. And so today, we think about our stewardship and how God calls us to especially be mindful of the poor as we manage the good things that He has given us to be stewards of in this world. I have a prayer I'd like to share. I entitled this prayer, Stewardship Prayer. Jesus, make me generous in my gift to you. Help me to remember all my blessings too. In my needs and problems, your grace does now suffice. So in my return to you, help me sacrifice. The amount is not what matters. In your careful sight, it's the love which was the value behind the widow's mite. The love within my heart is what you want to see behind my gift of money given generously. Help me, Lord, remember you once paid the price. Love is the real meaning of your sacrifice.